Well, how's everything going over there?
It's great. Very exciting, anxiety-inducing times to be a filmmaker with a movie coming out.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we appreciate you keeping doing it because, well, of course, we met you in Dallas here at the Dallas International Film Festival years ago,
Been a
and
while. Yeah.
yeah, and you're still doing it and doing it well. It is a strange time. I guess it's got to be odd to promote a film, when a lot of people you work with can't do such a thing, right?
Well, particularly the people who are supposed to do it. Directors, we do our best work behind the camera, and writers, oh God, we would be hidden in a dark room somewhere. So for the actors not to get and go, to go out and be the face of the movies is very strange to say the least.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And also hard for them too, because a lot of them are very proud of their work, and yet they can't be here with us.
It's horrible for sure. Yeah, I know, like, in our case, it's very painful, from a marketing perspective. You want your movie stars to be out promoting the movie, but also, like, I know Amber loves this movie and
Mhm.
she wants to go out and talk about it. Uh and she can't for reasons that are completely out of, both of our collective controls.
Yeah, but here you are. We're glad you're able to promote it. For those that aren't familiar, tell us a little bit about this one because it's really a
Yeah,
personal
so
movie.
so this is we call it it's a gothic thriller. It's about a female doctor, a psychologist, or what would have been referred to in that time as an alienist in the 1890s, who travels to a remote valley in South America to treat a young disturbed boy who the local villagers, led by this zealot priest, think might be possessed by a demon or something. And everything, when things go wrong in this small remote place, famine, the crops fail, his mom dies in a tragic accident, the blame just sort of always gets laid at this kid's feet because he is different. And the character of Grace, played by Amber Heard, shows up to try to treat him, and brings modern medicine of that era to the table. But in doing so, she also creates a lot of friction, and escalates the conflict between the local priest and the villagers, and this little boy and his father.
Yeah, and she's really good in it too. How did you know she was the right one?
I met her on I had written a TV pilot, met Amber, she was attached to it, and kind of learned more about her. She lived in Mexico City for a while. She speaks fluent Spanish. She's an avid reader and a big history nerd like myself. And I thought, oh, I really think she's going to connect with this script. And so I gave it to her, and sure enough, she did. She really liked it right away. And I don't think that's a coincidence either. I mean, for the reasons that I gave it to her, but also for the reasons, in her own personal story of this last, half decade. Um, she is herself a fearless truth teller who sticks to her convictions, whether they get her in trouble or not. And the same thing with this character who, goes to this small town, takes on the establishment there, and pays a heavy price for it.
Yeah,
In the
absolutely.
1890s version, she's getting dragged through the public square and, whipped and beaten. And whereas, like, in Amber's version, she's dragged through social media and stuff. And so it's not a coincidence that she had a real personal connection to the character.
Yeah, and well, like maybe it's better to not do interviews at this time anyway, because so the focus may be on the wrong thing. But just because she's fellow Texan and somebody that somebody we've been following along, and she's been at a bunch of our events. How's she doing with everything?
She's, as far as the movie or life.
Yeah, yeah, not
I mean,
both.
she's turned a real page. I mean, there's no doubt the trial was an awful experience for her. I mean, just I can't even really imagine it from afar. And my heart bleeds for her. But she's turned the page. I mean, she's a mom. I think her daughter Una's probably a little over 2 years old now, 2.5. She's living in Spain. You know, she's living her best life right now, and just ensconced away from it all.
Yeah, that's good. It could be worse, right? Yes. Well, we're excited for the movie to come out, and excited for you too, because this you've been consistently working on great projects for a while now, and people look up to you and they think, yeah, well, this is what I want to do too. And we've got a lot of aspiring filmmakers out there. What kind of advice do you give them?
Well, I guess, I mean, I don't know that any two paths are alike in this business, and it's a weird, unlike a normal professional career where you get a job at a company and you work there for a couple of years and you get promoted, and then you work for a couple more years, you get promoted. There's no, whenever a movie is over, you're now out of a job, and you're starting over at the new company of starting your next movie. But I guess the two things are never quit, on the project or yourself, and try to find new space, try to do something new. And that's not that easy. Every story has been told, one way or another, for hundreds of thousands of years since the Greek tragedies. So you just do your best to try to find a unique story and have a voice.
Yeah, well said. Now, my co-host Drew Pearson is one of our great Dallas Cowboys. Went into the Hall of Fame. We're so proud of him.
I'm familiar with Drew Pearson. I am a Cowboys fan.
Oh, good. Well,
Yeah.
We'll go Cowboys. So,
Yeah.
of course, he caught the Hail Mary. Now it's a pop culture term. We love to ask people their Hail Mary moment, which is that moment in your life or career where you just had to go for it and it worked out for you. What do you suppose that was for you?
Oh man, that's a great question. Well, I'll give you one from this movie for sure. When I wrote that TV pilot I mentioned, that was a long time ago. I'd never done any TV. There's no reason that a movie star would want to attach themselves to a project. And but I needed some reason for people to want to do the show. So I hired a casting director, with my own money, and was like, hey, can you help me find a movie star to be on this show so that maybe I can go sell it? Because I really want to tell this story. It's a really awesome, true story. And I did. And I don't know, a couple months later, I had a meeting with Amber Heard. And ironically, she, with that project, that TV show has never been made. Maybe it will someday. But if I hadn't met her on that show, she wouldn't have known about this movie, and history would be different. So you never know what's going to happen, but I do think you always want to bet on yourself and
Yeah,
the ball.
absolutely. Well, part of that is that success mindset. Maybe it's a stubbornness. You have to have
It's
the
both for
kind
sure.
yeah, that kind of keeps
You need a certain level of naivete to
Yeah.
achieve anything, I think.
That's true. Well, so what do you keep in mind that kind of keeps you on that right path even when things are tough and you're hitting those and you're
Oh yeah, you do rack up nose in the business too. I mean, even the most successful people are gonna rack up nose. Yeah, that's a good question. I will often think about other films that have been made. The story of the book Moneyball that was turned into the Brad Pitt movie. That the sort of the lore on that is that it took Brad Pitt 7 years to get that movie made. And I always think, because it took me about 7 years to get In the Fire made, and I've had other projects that may be longer. And I think if it took Brad Pitt that long, it might take me that long too. And so that keeps me striving.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, after this, I can't wait to see what you got next first. What do you have coming up?
More good movies. I have another exciting period thriller in the works. That's even more deep period than this 19th century film.
Good. Well, last thing, what was the moment on the set that you just thought that things would that everything was going to be okay? You're looking around the set, everything's exactly, because it's hard to get something from your brain to the screen.
We have this one scene as my favorite scene in the movie. An amazing scene on the page, and something that I was like so excited about. And there's a hypnosis scene. Back in that era, hypnosis, as it is now, still used actually, but hypnosis was like, the height of psychology at the time. Like that was something that they used as a real form of medicine. And so we have this really cool hypnosis scene where Amber Heard's character is using that to treat the boy and to kind of talk to him and get into his head a bit. And there's a metronome that's clicking, and we had this really impressive crane shot where the shot starts overhead and it like does a big swivel and then comes down and lands right in front of the metronome with Amber in the background asking her first question. And we had this like 100-year-old metronome, I guess, that looked great in the props room when we were picking it, but was not reliable. And so we keep doing, we've set up this whole room. We can't shoot anything else because we got this giant crane in the room with us. And we're trying to get this first shot, and the clock's ticking and everything's going long. And I'm starting to freak out that we're not going to get this thing. And the metronome just like won't keep going. So we keep doing the shot, and the metronome keeps stopping. And I'm just like, I'm just dying. And we kind of have time to like try this one more time, and then we just got to like wrap the crane and just shoot the thing on tripod. And so I'm telling the props guy, I'm like, dude, please just like get me enough juice in that thing for it to stay for like one take. So call action. The crane move is perfect. It like falls right where it's supposed to be, right at the like last possible moment. We get the shot, and then like on cue, where I would have cut the scene in the edit anyways, the metronome stops, and it never worked again. Never worked again that day. And I was like, okay, we got it. And I think like some fate is on our side today, and I think we're going to be okay.
That's true, because you do have something to say with this movie. It's not just I mean, it's good for entertainment as well. But there's some things that we can discuss here, right?
Yeah, totally. Trying to make some social commentary as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for making this one. We really, really appreciate your time and look forward to talking to you again sometime soon.
My pleasure. Thanks, Paul.
Okay, thanks so much.